Audra wanders into Crimson Lights and is startled to spot Holden sitting and sipping a coffee. He was hoping he'd get to see her again. She tries to snub him, but he pleads for a minute. He hasn't been able to stop thinking of her since he got to town. She suggests he get a hobby or some other woman to smile at. The past is in the rear view, she insists. Once she gets a coffee and joins him, she says he's making himself a problem. Audra is grateful that he helped work on Damien, but reminds Holden he should be back on the coast. In case he needs a reminder, she already has a brilliant and successful man, so he can keep his feelings to himself. Holden reminds her that they were once close friends. Not that close, she adds. He claims he forgot about her, but now they've been thrown back together. It's wild. A coincidence isn't kismet, she points out. Holden protests that he wants nothing from her. He can't force her to be his friend, but his boss is going to be spending time in Genoa City, so he'll be there. Too, that means he'll be stuck working from his phone all day, unless he has a friend to hang out with. Holden is surprised when she explains that she told Nate about their past. With all that's going on in Nate's life, this barely registered. She reminds Holden that he should be prioritizing Damien right now, too. What is he? Your friend, your boss, she asks. They talk about how messy it can be to be on the payroll of a friend. He was friends with Damien first. She fishes for details, but he says they will have to wait. After assuring her that he and his friend trust each other, he adds that he's more boss than friend at the moment. She thinks it's ridiculous how cagey he is about this. Although he won't admit to being afraid of him, he will concede that Damien has a temper like a cornered mountain lion when things don't go his way. Diane offers to babysit for Harrison. On the patio, Kyle looks at his phone until his mother arrives, buzzing with the latest news on the renovations of the Abbott manse. They joke about Jack having panic attacks, and Kyle tells her how much Harrison is looking forward to having his old space back. Diane is sure that her son would like some alone time with Claire. He admits that's been rare, something that would thrill Victor. She asks if there's some reason he hasn't asked her and Jack to babysit. He assures her there's no snub, it just never occurred to him. Diane reminds him they used to look after him all the time, and they can do it again any time. Diane urges him to have a date with his girlfriend. Kyle admits he was supposed to have one. She pushes him to do it, and then returns to gabbing about the renovations. Her desire is to make it a home Jack will love while embracing the future as well as the past. Kyle wonders what this means for her. Explaining how ugly things got with Jack's siblings during their fake breakup, Diane admits she'd like the renovation to be a peace offering. She'd also like to see a little of herself reflected in the house so she can feel included. Her son reminds her that it's already her home and family. That his dad's siblings signed off on the rehab must be a peace offering too. Kyle can't wait to see it. Claire asks Victor if he's supporting Summer. Claire arrives at the new ranch and gives her grandfather a peck on the cheek. He goes on about how her grandmother is always singing her praises. Sitting down, she asks straight out, is there a chance you're urging Summer to reconnect with Kyle? Victor assumes she thinks he wants Kyle to be with one granddaughter over the other, but clarifies that's not the case. She knows he didn't have an issue with Kyle and Summer in the past. Her grandfather doesn't want Kyle with anyone in his family. He feels sorry that Summer has to deal with that guy because of Harrison. Victor claims he would never choose one granddaughter over the other. There's no reason for either of them to be insecure about Kyle. He suggests that, deep down, she knows her relationship with Kyle is a mistake. Claire insists she's not insecure about her feelings or Kyle's. She's just concerned that Victor will never give them a chance. Victor explains that he's known Kyle since he was a baby and compares him to Billy Boy Abbott, that idiot. Claire asks him not to do anything to make his point. Her grandfather says she knows where he stands, but she's over 21 and can make her own decisions. You can disagree, but nothing else, she says, making him give his word. Oh yeah, he grumbles, adding she can always come to him to speak directly. She assures him that the Abbotts know that nothing they say will ever be able to come between them. As she puts on her coat, he explains that the Abbotts envy them, their success, and their closeness. That's been the case ever since Jack became the head of the family. Telling her to remember that, he hugs her. Summer reminds Jack of their bond. Distracted, Summer bumps into Jack at society. She apologizes for being preoccupied, and he asks if she's heard any more from her mom. Summer fills him in on Phyllis and Sharon's disappearance, and adds she's relieved that Chance is now looking into it. She lets it slip that she and the detective are on a break that may be permanent. Jack hopes she's not feeling alone. She explains that Kyle has been helpful in that respect. I'm really glad we're reconnecting that way, she says, which raises some questions for Jack. She makes it clear that she's only talking about them being a team for Harrison. She'll always care about her ex and thinks it's important their son sees that. Jack is sure he does. Harrison is a confident and loving boy thanks to them. Summer is glad they can talk like this and reminds him they were bonded even before her bond with Kyle began. It started the day she was born, and that's why she's happy they are all back to their old selves. They sit on the couch and talk about Harrison's new bedtime routines. It all sounds fun to Jack. Summer says that Kyle has let go of the anger and tension since he made peace with him. She can see how much he loves his parents, even when he can't express it. They discuss the threat Victor still poses before getting back to recalling her being an honorary abbot, and him being her Uncle Jack. Summer assures him she would never side with Victor against him. The feud has to end. The thought of Harrison getting in the middle of it is awful. He promises that will never happen. Jack will concede that Victor probably adores Harrison too, but it's not out of character for him to use his loved ones. She agrees that he wouldn't hurt her son intentionally, wouldn't hurt her son intentionally. Harrison's happiness and safety are the most important things in the world to her and Kyle. She feels their son can sense they are unified again. Most of the credit for that goes to Claire going back to work for Nikki. That might have been the best thing to ever happen to our family, she says. Jack looks surprised to hear this. She tells him that she and Kyle are in sync about her grandfather. They have the kind of history where nothing can come between them. Knowing that we have your support means everything to me, she adds. Nate and Damien sit down to lunch at the athletic club and discuss the hope that has returned to Amy's eyes. Nate assures him that the oncologist he set her up with is the best. When Damien says he's grateful that he made this happen, Nate takes that to indicate he's inching closer to forgiving her. I'm not sure I can really get there, Damien admits. Hastings can't understand this. His half-brother explains that he lost his mother when he lost his father. She lied to both of them every day they were together. Nate asks if she was supposed to tell him the truth when he was still a kid. Would he have handled it well? Crossing his arms, Damien says he never got the chance to find out. Nate says he needs to decide how long he is going to wait to forgive her. Damien admits that his attitude toward his mom is not rational, but part of it comes from loyalty to his dad. When he admits being curious about their shared dad, Nate offers to tell him all he knows. It's not much since he passed when he was young. Nate has stories from his mom, mostly about him becoming a PI and being a bit of a charmer. They chuckle about that, and Nate says their dad wasn't easy, which meant there was a lot of drama before he passed. He believes Amy when she says their dad had no idea he had another son. Damien says they have losing their fathers in common. Nate adds that it leaves a lot of questions that will never be answered, no matter how much you need them to be. Paying the bill, they hope they can do this again. Nate spots Holden walking in with Audra. They stand up, and Nate introduces his half-brother to Audra. Damien thought Holden was supposed to be on a flight. Audra explains that they came in to grab a bite since he hates airplane food. She asks about the meeting with the oncologist and is pleased to hear that Amy has gone to Chicago with the doctor to run some tests. Getting edgy, Damien says he needs to go and draws Holden into the foyer. "What the hell are you doing?" Damien demands, reminding him that they are not in this town to play. He's supposed to be in Leh doing in-person discussions rather than chasing after his ex, who is now clearly involved with Nate. When Holden brings up Lily, Damien gets upset and orders him to stay away from Audra and do the job he's paid for. Back at their table, Audra promises not to distract Nate while he has things on his plate. He notices she's in a good mood, and she claims that's just because she got to see him. When he gets a business call, he steps away to take it. Holden returns, apologizing and explaining he has business he needs to get on right away. Whispering, he asks her to lunch when he gets back. Reluctantly, she says he can call her. Nate returns as Holden gets up, declaring he has a plane to catch. Things are off kilter as he exits. Looking down at her, Nate asks Audra what's really going on. Back on the Crimson Lights patio, Kyle calls Claire to ask if she's made plans for the evening because he wants her all to himself. As he explains that his dad and Diddy will be taking Harrison, Summer arrives and eavesdrops on him. Claire can't wait for their date. Diane joins Jack at society. After planting a kiss on him, she tells him the progress of the house is excellent. She adds they have big plans for the night, and they don't involve a trip to the cabin. They are looking after Harrison. That wasn't what he was expecting, but it sounds great. She explains that Kyle and Claire needed some time to themselves. He's sure that's not something everyone will be happy about. Diane is surprised that he's talking about Summer. "I have this nagging thought Summer might have decided she wants Kyle back," he explains.